I tried PDF farming for 60 days with $200. I'm Jordy, and I'm back with another story about trying to build something online while juggling life as a personal trainer, husband, and dad to two little ones. If you heard about my dropshipping adventure, well, how that ended is something you'll want to know. Check out my first story to see for yourself because it's a serious business model. But that experience got me thinking about one thing: digital products. During my research phase, I'd stumbled across people selling PDFs, simple, downloadable guides, for real money. We're talking about basic workout plans, meal prep guides, and budgeting templates. Nothing fancy, no inventory, no shipping, no suppliers in China who might ghost you. The concept fascinated me. You create something once, upload it somewhere, and people can buy it forever. That sounded like the holy grail I'd been chasing, but I was skeptical. Who actually buys PDFs when there's so much free content online? Then I remembered something from my dropshipping research. I'd seen fitness influencers selling workout guides for $29, $49, even $97. At the time, I thought they were crazy. Why would anyone pay for a PDF when YouTube has millions of free workout videos? But maybe that was exactly my mistake. Thinking like someone who creates free content, not someone who buys solutions. As a personal trainer, I solve problems every day. People pay me not just for exercise knowledge, but for organized, personalized solutions. They want structure, not endless options. Maybe PDFs work the same way. Maybe people were drowning in free information and willing to pay for something organized, specific, and actionable. The timing felt right too. My dropshipping experience taught me about online marketing, customer research, and the importance of solving real problems. Those skills wouldn't go to waste. But this time, I wouldn't be dealing with product quality issues, shipping delays, or inventory management. Just me, my knowledge, and whatever I could create. I started calling it PDF farming after reading about it online. The name made it sound agricultural, like planting seeds and harvesting crops. Create useful PDFs, plant them across different platforms, and hopefully harvest some sales over time. It felt more sustainable than dropshipping's constant hustle. I set the same parameters as before: 60 days, $200 budget, and 1.5 to 2 hours daily. Enough time to test the model properly without neglecting my family or my training clients. The $200 would cover any tools I needed: design software, platform fees, maybe some basic advertising. But first, I needed to understand what PDF farming actually meant. Was I supposed to create comprehensive guides? Simple checklists? Templates people could fill out? The term covered everything from one-page planners to 50-page ebooks. I had research to do, and this time I was determined to start smarter, not just harder. The dropshipping failure stung, but it also freed me from perfectionism. I knew I'd make mistakes with PDF farming too. The goal wasn't to avoid failure, it was to fail cheaper and learn faster. Digital products seemed perfect for that approach. Low upfront costs, quick iteration, and immediate feedback from real customers. I opened a new notebook, wrote PDF farming day 1 at the top, and started my research. This time, I was going to document everything, every tutorial watched, every decision made, every dollar spent. If this became another expensive education, at least I'd have detailed notes for the next attempt. The blinking cursor on my laptop screen felt familiar, but different this time. Instead of researching products made by other people, I was about to research problems I could solve myself. That felt empowering and terrifying in equal measure. The YouTube rabbit hole started innocently enough. I searched how to make money selling PDFs, and suddenly found myself 3 hours deep into tutorials, success stories, and breakdowns of people making thousands monthly from digital products. The algorithm had me hooked, feeding me video after video of regular people who'd cracked the code. One creator showed her Etsy shop earning $2,000 monthly selling budget planners. Another guy made $5,000 in his first year selling fitness PDFs on Gumroad. A mom of 3 was pulling in $800 monthly with simple meal planning templates. These weren't marketing gurus with millions of followers. They were ordinary people like me, creating simple solutions for everyday problems. The variety blew my mind. People were buying PDFs for everything: wedding planning checklists, habit trackers, journal prompts, resume templates, cleaning schedules, and goal-setting worksheets. Problems I never knew existed had someone creating a PDF solution and others willing to pay for it. I kept a notebook open the whole time, scribbling down patterns I noticed. Most successful PDF creators focused on specific niches. The budget planner lady didn't try to solve every financial problem. She focused entirely on helping people track monthly expenses. The fitness guy specialized in home workouts for busy parents. Narrow focus seemed to work better than trying to help everyone with everything. The pricing surprised me too. Simple one-page templates sold for $3 to $7. More comprehensive guides went for $15 to $30. Multi-pack bundles commanded $40 to $60. These weren't elaborate productions. Many looked like they'd been created in basic design software by people who weren't professional graphic designers. But here's what really caught my attention. The problems they were solving were incredibly specific. Not get fit, but 20-minute workouts for busy moms. Not save money, but meal planning for families on $100 weekly grocery budgets. Not be productive, but daily routines for work-from-home parents. The more specific the problem, the more willing people seemed to pay for the solution. I started thinking about my own expertise. As a personal trainer, I helped people every day. But what specific problems could translate into PDF solutions? Home workout routines for people with limited space? Beginner strength training guides for gym intimidation? Healthy meal prep for families with picky eaters? The research revealed something else. Most successful PDF creators weren't one-hit wonders. They built small libraries of related products. The budget planner lady had 17 different financial planning PDFs. The fitness guy offered beginner, intermediate, and advanced versions of his programs, plus nutrition guides and habit trackers. They were building ecosystems, not just single products. I spent an evening browsing Etsy's digital download section, studying what was selling. The best sellers had thousands of sales and hundreds of reviews. But what fascinated me more were the newer listings with 20 to 50 sales. These proved that newcomers could still find success without being first to market. Pinterest kept appearing in my research. Apparently, it was the secret weapon for PDF marketing. People searching for solutions would find beautifully designed pins that led to PDF sales pages. The visual nature of Pinterest made it perfect for showcasing what your PDF looked like and what problem it solved. I watched tutorials on Pinterest marketing, Etsy optimization, and something called lead magnets. Free PDFs you give away to build an email list, then sell premium products to later. The strategies felt more approachable than dropshipping's complex advertising and conversion funnels. But the more I learned, the more questions I had. Should I start with free PDFs to build an audience, or jump straight to paid products? Was Etsy better than Gumroad, or should I build my own website? Did I need fancy design skills, or would simple layouts work? How did people handle customer service for digital products? The technical side seemed simpler than dropshipping, but the creative challenge felt bigger. Instead of finding existing products to sell, I had to create something from scratch that people would actually want. That required understanding not just what problems existed, but how people preferred to consume solutions. I discovered something called lead scoring, analyzing which types of content got the most engagement to predict what would sell best. Some creators tested ideas by posting helpful content on social media and seeing what resonated before turning popular posts into paid PDFs. The income potential varied wildly based on niche and effort. Some creators made $50 to $100 monthly with minimal ongoing work. Others treated it like a part-time business and earned $1,000 to $3,000 monthly. A few had built it into full-time income, but that required treating PDF creation like a serious business, not a side hustle. What struck me most was how many creators emphasized patience. Unlike dropshipping, where you could potentially see results within days of launching ads, PDF farming seemed to reward consistency over speed. Building an audience, creating multiple products, and establishing trust took months, not weeks. By the end of my research binge, I felt simultaneously excited and overwhelmed. The opportunity seemed real. People were genuinely making money solving specific problems with simple PDFs. But the path wasn't as straightforward as I'd hoped. Success seemed to require not just creating good products, but understanding content marketing, audience building, and platform optimization. I closed my laptop with pages of notes and a head full of possibilities. Tomorrow I'd need to narrow down all this information into an actual plan. The research phase was ending, and the real work was about to begin. But for the first time since my dropshipping failure, I felt like I was pursuing something that matched both my skills and the market reality I was discovering. The best part? If I failed, I'd fail creating something entirely my own, not trying to sell someone else's products. That felt like progress, even before I'd made my first PDF. Choosing what to create first felt like standing in a candy store with $20. Too many options, all looking appealing, but knowing I could only pick one. My research had shown me countless successful niches, but I needed to find the intersection between what I knew, what people wanted, and what I could actually execute. My trainer background kept pulling me toward fitness PDFs. I knew exercise science, program design, and nutrition basics. I'd helped hundreds of clients over the years, so I understood their pain points intimately. But the fitness space felt crowded. YouTube searches for home workout PDF returned millions of results. How would my guide stand out among established fitness influencers with massive followings? Then I remembered something from my research. Specificity wins. Instead of competing with general fitness content, what if I focused on a very specific problem I encountered regularly with clients? I started thinking about the patterns in my training sessions. The biggest struggle I saw wasn't people not knowing how to exercise. It was people not knowing how to start exercising consistently at home. They'd buy gym memberships they never used, download fitness apps they'd abandon after a week, or attempt YouTube workouts that felt too advanced or equipment-heavy for their reality. I spent a week asking my current clients about their home workout experiences. The stories were remarkably similar. Sarah, a working mom, said she'd start workout videos but quit when they required equipment she didn't own. Mike mentioned feeling lost about progression, doing the same bodyweight exercises for months without knowing how to make them harder. Jenny struggled with workouts that assumed fitness knowledge she didn't have. The pattern was clear. People needed dead simple, equipment-free routines with built-in progression that assumed zero fitness experience. Not a 30-day transformation promise, but a realistic starting point for building the exercise habit. I tested this idea on social media, posting about the biggest home workout mistakes I see as a trainer. The engagement was immediate and telling. Comments flooded in from people sharing their exact struggles, not knowing if they were doing exercises correctly, getting bored with repetitive routines, and feeling overwhelmed by conflicting advice online. That convinced me. My first PDF would be the 15-minute home workout starter guide, specifically designed for absolute beginners who want to exercise at home with zero equipment. Not a fitness transformation promise, but a simple system for building the exercise habit without feeling overwhelmed. But I had another idea brewing. During my dropshipping experience, I'd become obsessed with productivity systems, time management, and goal tracking. I'd created elaborate spreadsheets for tracking my business metrics, daily schedules, and weekly reviews. Friends and family had started asking for copies of my planning templates. This felt like untapped potential. The productivity space was huge on Pinterest and Etsy. People were constantly searching for planners, goal trackers, and organizational systems. I already had templates I'd created for myself. They just needed polishing and proper presentation. The productivity route felt safer too. Less competition from established influencers, more evergreen content, and broader appeal. Everyone struggles with productivity, but not everyone wants to exercise. Plus, I could create multiple related products: daily planners, goal trackers, habit builders, weekly reviews, and monthly planning sheets. I was torn between two viable paths. My trainer brain said stick with fitness. It's your expertise and credibility. My business brain said go with productivity. It's a bigger market with less competition. Then I realized I didn't have to choose permanently. I could test both. Start with whichever felt more natural to create, then expand based on what worked. The beauty of PDF farming was the ability to pivot quickly based on actual sales data, not just theoretical market research. I decided to start with the fitness guide. My training background gave me instant credibility, and I could speak from genuine experience helping real people. The productivity templates could come later, once I understood the PDF creation and marketing process. But I needed to be more specific than home workout guide. My research showed that generic titles got lost in search results. I needed to identify exactly who this was for and what specific outcome they'd achieve. After more client conversations, I narrowed it down. The Complete Beginner's Guide to 15-Minute Home Workouts. Build your exercise habit in 30 days. No equipment required. Long title, but it hit every specific pain point my research had revealed. Beginner-friendly, time-efficient, equipment-free, habit-focused, and realistic time frame. The target customer became crystal clear. Someone who wanted to start exercising regularly but felt overwhelmed by complex programs, didn't have gym access or equipment, and needed a simple system they could stick with. Probably working parents, people with busy schedules, or fitness beginners who'd been intimidated by other programs. I outlined the contents. Basic exercise explanations with simple illustrations, 3 different 15-minute routines for variety, a 30-day progression schedule, form tips for common mistakes, and a simple tracking system. Nothing revolutionary, but everything organized in one place with clear instructions for absolute beginners. The more I thought about it, the more excited I became. This wasn't just rehashing generic fitness advice. It was solving a specific problem I encountered weekly in my training practice. I had stories, examples, and proven solutions. Most importantly, I could create this with confidence because I'd already helped dozens of people with exactly this challenge. My notebook now had a clear direction. A 15-minute beginner home workout guide, targeting overwhelmed fitness newcomers, focusing on habit building over transformation promises. Simple, specific, and something I could genuinely deliver on. Time to start creating. Creating my first PDF felt like staring at a blank canvas when you've never painted before. I had the concept, the target audience, and pages of research notes, but turning all that into an actual product people would pay for? That was completely different territory. I started where everyone starts. Google Docs. Not glamorous, but free and familiar. My plan was to write all the content first, then worry about making it look professional later. The cursor blinked at me for 20 minutes before I finally typed the first heading. Welcome to your home workout journey. The writing came easier than expected once I started thinking about real conversations with clients. Instead of trying to sound like a fitness expert, I wrote like I was talking to Sarah from my Tuesday sessions, someone who wanted to exercise but felt overwhelmed by where to start. I broke everything into digestible chunks. First, a simple explanation of why 15-minute workouts actually work, addressing the biggest objection I heard. That's not long enough to make a difference. I included the science, but explained it like I would to my neighbor, not an exercise physiology textbook. Next came the exercise descriptions. This took forever. How do you explain a proper squat in writing to someone who's never done one? I found myself typing things like, pretend you're sitting back into an invisible chair, and your knees should track over your toes, not cave inward. Every movement I demonstrated effortlessly in person became a paragraph of detailed instructions. The progression system was crucial. Most beginner programs dump people into static routines that become boring after 2 weeks. I created a simple system. Week 1 to 2 focused on learning the movements. Week 3 to 4 added more repetitions. Week 5 to 6 introduced hold times and slower tempos. Nothing fancy, but it gave people a sense of advancement without overwhelming complexity. Writing the habit-building section felt most natural. I'd spent years helping clients stick with exercise routines, so I knew what worked. Start ridiculously small, even 5 minutes counts. Stack the workout onto an existing habit like morning coffee or evening TV. Track completion, not perfection. Celebrate showing up, not just crushing workouts. I wrote during stolen moments throughout the day. Early mornings before the kids woke up, lunch breaks between training sessions, evenings after dinner cleanup. Each session added another section, another explanation, another piece of the puzzle. The content grew organically from my daily interactions with clients. The hardest part was striking the right tone. Too casual and it wouldn't feel worth paying for. Too formal and beginners would feel intimidated. I aimed for the voice I used with nervous first-time clients. Encouraging but knowledgeable, simple but not dumbed down. I included real stories from my training experience, anonymized but authentic. The client who started with wall push-ups and worked up to full push-ups in 6 weeks. The busy mom who found that 15 minutes at 6 a.m. was her only guaranteed exercise time. The desk worker who discovered that bodyweight squats helped his back pain more than expensive ergonomic chairs. Creating the workout routines required careful consideration. They needed to be challenging enough to feel worthwhile, but simple enough for absolute beginners. I settled on 3 different 15-minute routines focusing on different movement patterns: upper body, lower body, and full body circuits. Each routine had modifications for different fitness levels. The tracking system was intentionally simple. Just checkboxes for daily completion and space for notes. I'd seen too many people abandon complex tracking systems because they became another source of overwhelm. Simple worked better than sophisticated. After 2 weeks of consistent writing, I had 18 pages of solid content. The structure made sense, the tone felt right, and the information was genuinely helpful. But it looked like exactly what it was: a Google Doc with black text on white background. Nothing about it suggested someone should pay money for it. I knew the design phase would be crucial. My research had shown that people judge digital products heavily on appearance. A well-designed PDF with mediocre content often outsold excellent content that looked unprofessional. That seemed backwards to me as a trainer. I cared more about results than appearance, but the market had spoken clearly. The content was done, but the real challenge was just beginning. I had to transform my trainer knowledge into something that looked like a professional product people would actually buy. The writing had been the easy part compared to what came next. I saved the document in multiple locations, printed a copy for review, and mentally prepared for the design phase. My Google Doc was about to become a real product, assuming I could figure out how to make it look like one. The transformation from trainer's notes to marketable PDF was about to begin. The design phase nearly broke me. I'm talking about hours spent moving text boxes 2 pixels to the left, changing fonts 17 times, and questioning every color choice like it would determine the fate of my entire business. If writing the content felt like a gentle learning curve, design felt like hitting a brick wall at full speed. Canva seemed like the obvious choice. Everyone recommended it for beginners, and the free version promised to handle everything I needed. The reality was more complicated. Sure, Canva had templates for ebooks and guides, but none of them matched my content structure. The fitness templates looked like they were designed for Instagram influencers with abs you could grate cheese on. The business templates were too corporate for a beginner workout guide. I started with a template called Health and Wellness Guide that seemed promising. Clean layout, good color scheme, professional look. Then I tried to replace the template content with my own text, and everything fell apart. The text boxes were the wrong size, the fonts didn't match, and somehow my exercise descriptions made the entire layout look cramped and messy. My first attempt looked like a ransom note. Different fonts on every page, colors that clashed horribly, headers that weren't aligned with anything else. I'd spend an hour perfecting one page, then realize the next page needed completely different formatting because the content was structured differently. Consistency seemed impossible. The exercise illustrations were my biggest nightmare. I couldn't afford professional fitness photography, and my attempts at taking photos of myself demonstrating exercises were embarrassingly bad. Bad lighting, awkward angles, and my complete inability to look natural while performing a squat for the camera. I looked like someone being held hostage and forced to exercise. Canva's illustration library became my salvation and my curse. They had basic stick figures and simple exercise graphics, but finding ones that matched my specific exercises took hours of searching. Need a stick figure doing a modified push-up? Good luck finding that exact variation. I ended up mixing and matching different illustrations and hoping they made sense together. Colors consumed entire evenings. Blue felt too corporate. Green seemed too medical. Red was too aggressive. I wanted something energetic but not overwhelming, professional but approachable. I must have tried 30 different color combinations before settling on a navy and orange scheme that felt both trustworthy and motivating. Typography was another rabbit hole entirely. The font needed to be readable for exercise instructions, but interesting enough to keep people engaged. Too fancy and it looked unprofessional. Too plain and it looked boring. I discovered that choosing fonts is apparently a skill that requires years of training, not something you figure out in an evening. The cover design took 3 full days. It needed to convey professionalism, promise results, and stand out among thousands of other fitness PDFs. I studied successful covers on Etsy, noting common elements: bold titles, clear benefits, simple graphics suggesting movement or achievement. My attempts to recreate these elements looked like amateur hour. I went through phases of thinking I was a design genius, then immediately hating everything I'd created. One night I'd be convinced my layout was perfect. The next morning I'd open the file and wonder what I'd been thinking. The colors looked wrong, the spacing felt off, and the whole thing seemed to scream, made by someone who has no idea what they're doing. Canva kept crashing at the worst possible moments. I'd spend 2 hours perfecting a page layout, then lose everything because I forgot to save manually. The autosave feature seemed to work randomly, usually choosing not to save right before major crashes. I learned to save obsessively, hitting Control-S every few minutes like a nervous tick. The most frustrating part was knowing what I wanted but not knowing how to achieve it. I could visualize pages that looked clean and professional, but translating that vision into actual design choices felt impossible. Moving elements around seemed random. Sometimes a tiny adjustment made everything click. Other times it ruined the entire layout. I watched YouTube tutorials on Canva design, but they all assumed knowledge I didn't have. Just adjust the kerning, they'd say, without explaining what kerning was or why it mattered. Make sure your visual hierarchy is clear, was another favorite phrase that meant nothing to me as a beginner. My wife found me at 2 a.m. one night, hunched over my laptop, trying to align text boxes that refused to cooperate. "It looks fine," she said, glancing at my screen. "It looks professional." But I could see every flaw, every misaligned element, every color choice that didn't quite work. The breakthrough came when I stopped trying to make everything perfect and focused on making it functional. Instead of complex layouts with multiple design elements, I simplified everything. Consistent fonts throughout, simple color scheme, plenty of white space, clear hierarchy between headers and body text. I printed test versions to see how they looked on paper. Digital design looks different in print, and some of my color choices that seemed great on screen looked terrible when printed. The text that seemed perfectly readable on my laptop was too small on paper. These discoveries led to more rounds of adjustments. After 2 weeks of design hell, I had something that looked reasonably professional. Not award-winning, but clean and trustworthy. More importantly, it looked like something worth paying for rather than a document I'd thrown together. The content was solid, and now it had a presentation to match. But looking at my finished design, I realized this was just the beginning. Now I had to figure out where to sell it. Choosing where to sell my PDF felt like picking a college major. Everyone had strong opinions, but ultimately I had to live with the consequences. My research had revealed dozens of platforms, each with passionate advocates claiming their choice was obviously superior. Etsy, Gumroad, Shopify, Amazon KDP, even building my own website. The options were overwhelming. Etsy seemed like the safest bet for beginners. Millions of people already shopped there for digital downloads. The setup looked straightforward, and the fee structure was simple to understand. But the competition was fierce. Searching for workout guide returned thousands of results, many from established sellers with hundreds of reviews and professional branding that made my efforts look amateur. Gumroad appeared more creator-friendly. Lower fees, better analytics, and a platform designed specifically for digital products rather than handmade crafts. But it had a discovery problem. People didn't browse Gumroad like they browsed Etsy. You needed to drive your own traffic, which meant I'd need to figure out marketing before I could make any sales. The decision paralysis was real. I spent 3 days reading comparison articles, watching platform tutorials, and analyzing successful sellers on each platform. Every article claimed their recommended platform was the best choice for beginners, but they all recommended different platforms. I decided to start with Etsy because of the built-in traffic. Even if competition was high, at least people were actively searching for products like mine. Building my own audience from zero seemed like a challenge I wasn't ready for yet. Setting up my Etsy shop felt like filling out tax forms. Endless questions about business details I hadn't considered. Shop name, policies, payment methods, tax information. I hadn't realized I'd need to think about things like refund policies for digital products. Could someone download my PDF and then claim it didn't work? How would I even know? The shop name took an embarrassing amount of time. Jordy Fitness was taken. Home workout guides sounded generic. Fit Life Digital felt too corporate. I finally settled on Foundation Fitness PDFs. Not perfect, but it communicated what I was selling and suggested building fitness from the ground up. Creating the product listing was another education in copywriting. The title needed to include keywords people might search for while staying under Etsy's character limit. 15-minute home workout guide for beginners. No equipment exercise plan with 30-day program. Printable PDF fitness routine was my final attempt after dozens of revisions. The product description required balancing honesty with salesmanship. I wanted to accurately represent what buyers would receive without overpromising results. I included bullet points highlighting key benefits, addressed common objections, and explained exactly what was included in the download. Writing sales copy felt foreign. I was used to helping people in person, not convincing strangers through text. Pricing caused another crisis of confidence. My research showed similar products ranging from $3 to $30. Too low, and I'd signal low quality. Too high, and I'd price myself out against competitors with established track records. I settled on $9.99, enough to feel valuable, but not so much that first-time buyers would hesitate. The technical setup was more complex than expected. File size limits, acceptable formats, delivery methods. Digital products had rules I hadn't considered. My PDF was too large for Etsy's direct upload system, so I had to compress it without losing image quality. Finding the right balance between file size and visual clarity took multiple attempts. Etsy's SEO requirements felt like learning a foreign language. Tags, categories, keywords, attributes. Everything needed optimization to appear in search results. I spent hours researching what terms people actually searched for. Home workout was competitive but high volume. Beginner fitness was less competitive but lower volume. 15-minute exercise was specific but might be too narrow. Creating attractive product photos for a digital download presented unique challenges. I couldn't photograph the actual product. It was a PDF. Instead, I needed to create mock-ups showing what the guide looked like, what people would receive, and why they should buy it. This meant more design work, creating images that showcase the PDF content without giving everything away for free. I discovered that Etsy's success required understanding their algorithm. Products needed consistent views, favorites, and sales to rank higher in search results. New listings got a brief boost, but maintaining visibility required ongoing optimization and customer engagement. It was like social media marketing disguised as a marketplace. The payment processing setup revealed another layer of complexity. Tax implications, international sales, currency conversion, selling digital products internationally wasn't as simple as I'd assumed. I needed to research tax obligations, understand when I'd need to collect sales tax, and figure out how payments would actually reach my bank account. Customer service policies for digital products required careful consideration. Unlike physical items, digital downloads couldn't be returned in the traditional sense. Once someone downloaded my PDF, they had it forever. I needed clear policies about refunds, customer support, and what constituted a valid complaint about a digital product. After a week of setup, testing, and second-guessing every decision, my Etsy shop was live. Foundation fitness PDFs existed in the world. My workout guide was listed for $9.99, and theoretically, strangers could find it and buy it. The technical foundation was complete, but I had no idea if anyone would actually purchase it. Looking at my professional-looking shop listing, I felt simultaneously proud and terrified. Proud because I'd created something real from nothing. Terrified because now I had to figure out how to get people to actually find and buy it. Having a product for sale was just the beginning. Now I needed to learn how to market it. Launch day arrived with all the fanfare of a tree falling in an empty forest. I'd spent weeks creating, designing, and setting up my Etsy shop, building toward this moment when my PDF would finally be available for purchase. I hit publish on my listing at 9 a.m. on a Tuesday, then sat back and waited for the sales notifications to start rolling in. Nothing happened. I refreshed my shop dashboard every 10 minutes for the first hour, convinced the system was broken or my listing hadn't actually gone live. But there it was. 15-minute home workout guide for beginners, sitting in my shop, looking professional and ready for purchase. The problem wasn't technical, it was mathematical. Among millions of listings on Etsy, mine was essentially invisible. The reality hit hard around noon when I searched for my own product using the keywords I'd carefully researched. Home Workout Guide returned thousands of results, and my listing was buried on page 12. Beginner Fitness was slightly better, page 8. Even searching for my exact title didn't bring up my listing in the first few results. I'd fallen into the classic beginner trap of thinking that building it meant they would come. In my head, launching meant immediate visibility to the millions of people browsing Etsy daily. The reality was more like opening a store in the middle of the desert and wondering why no one was shopping. The first day ended with 0 views, 0 favorites, and 0 sales. I tried not to let it discourage me. I'd read that new listings took time to gain traction, but seeing those goose eggs felt deflating after weeks of preparation. Day 2 brought a glimmer of hope. 3 views. Someone had actually found my listing. I analyzed the traffic source obsessively. 2 views came from Etsy search, 1 from direct link, probably me testing my own listing. No sales, but at least proof that my listing could be discovered. By the end of the first week, I had accumulated 23 views, 2 favorites, and 0 sales. The views felt encouraging until I calculated the conversion rate. 0%. Even worse, I noticed competitors with similar products getting dozens of daily views and regular sales. Their listings looked similar to mine, but something was working for them that wasn't working for me. I dove into research mode again, studying successful listings in my category. The top sellers had several things in common: professional product photos that clearly showed what buyers would receive, detailed descriptions with extensive keyword optimization, and most importantly, reviews. Lots of reviews. The review problem felt insurmountable. Buyers were more likely to purchase products with social proof, but how do you get your first review when no one buys without reviews? It was a classic chicken and egg scenario that every new seller faced. I tried tweaking my listing based on what I learned. Better keywords in the title, more descriptive bullet points, additional product photos showing different pages of the guide. Each change required waiting to see if it improved visibility, making optimization a slow, frustrating process. 2 weeks in, I had my first breakthrough. Someone added my guide to their cart. I watched my analytics dashboard like it was a sports game, waiting to see if they'd complete the purchase. They didn't. But the fact that someone had seriously considered buying gave me hope that my product wasn't fundamentally flawed. The 3rd week brought my first real momentum. A fitness blogger with a modest Instagram following posted about home workout resources and mentioned Etsy as a good place to find affordable guides. Several fitness-related listings, including mine, saw traffic spikes that day. I got 15 views in a single day, my best performance yet. But views without sales felt increasingly hollow. I started questioning everything. Was my price too high? Was the product description unclear? Did my guide actually solve the problem I thought it solved? The doubt was exhausting. I reached out to successful PDF sellers through Etsy messages asking for advice. Most didn't respond, but one seller was generous with insights. She explained that her first month had been similarly slow, but consistent optimization and patience had eventually paid off. Her advice: focus on getting those first few sales through any means necessary, because reviews were the key to long-term visibility. She suggested I consider running Etsy ads to jumpstart visibility, even though it would eat into my profit margins. The logic made sense. Lose money initially to gain reviews and organic ranking, then turn off ads once the listing gained natural momentum. A month after launch, my stats were sobering. 127 total views, 8 favorites, 0 sales. I'd learned valuable lessons about marketplace dynamics, keyword optimization, and customer psychology, but I hadn't earned a single dollar. The excitement of having a real business had been replaced by the grinding reality of trying to get noticed in a crowded marketplace. The most frustrating part was knowing that my product was solid. I'd created something genuinely helpful based on years of training experience. But in the digital marketplace, quality content meant nothing without visibility and social proof. I stared at my dashboard showing another day of views without conversions, feeling like I was shouting into the void. Creating the product had been challenging but straightforward. Solve a problem. Organize the solution. Make it look professional. Marketing felt like trying to solve a puzzle where the pieces kept changing shape. But I wasn't ready to give up. The research phase had taught me that successful PDF creators often struggled initially before finding their rhythm. I just hadn't expected the silence to feel quite so deafening. Tomorrow, I'd start learning about this thing called marketing that apparently made the difference between having a product and having a business. The wake-up call came when I realized I'd been treating social media like a spectator sport instead of a business tool. I had Instagram and Pinterest accounts that I barely used, posting occasional gym selfies and family photos with zero strategy. Meanwhile, successful PDF creators were building audiences of thousands through consistent, valuable content that naturally led to product sales. Pinterest seemed like the most logical starting point. My research had shown it was the secret weapon for PDF marketing. People actively searched for solutions, and visual pins could showcase exactly what problems your product solved. Plus, Pinterest users were already in a buying mindset, looking for resources to save and use later. But Pinterest felt like learning a new language. Vertical pins, SEO-optimized descriptions, seasonal content, fresh pins versus repins. Every tutorial assumed knowledge I didn't have. I spent 2 days just figuring out how to create a business account and set up boards that made sense for my fitness content. My first pins were disasters. I'd screenshot pages from my PDF, slap some text on top, and hope for the best. They looked exactly like what they were: amateur attempts by someone who had no idea what they were doing. No engagement, no saves, no traffic to my Etsy shop. I studied successful fitness pins obsessively, noting patterns in design, color schemes, and text placement. The best pins told a story in a single image, showing the problem, hinting at the solution, and creating enough curiosity to drive clicks. My pins were just informational, boring. Creating Pinterest-worthy graphics meant learning another design skill. Canva became my friend again, but this time for social media templates instead of PDF layouts. I discovered the world of Pinterest templates, pre-designed layouts that I could customize with my own colors and text. Game changer. The content strategy took time to develop. I couldn't just post about my workout guide repeatedly. That would be obvious self-promotion. Instead, I needed to provide genuine value that positioned me as someone worth following. Workout tips, form corrections, motivation quotes, exercise modifications. Content that helped people while subtly establishing my expertise. Instagram felt more natural but equally challenging. Stories, posts, reels, IGTV. Each format had different requirements and audiences. I started posting simple workout tips with before and after form corrections, using my phone to create quick videos demonstrating proper technique. The consistency requirement was brutal. Successful creators posted multiple times per week, engaged with their audience daily, and treated social media like a part-time job. I was squeezing content creation into early mornings and late evenings, trying to maintain quality while building momentum. My first breakthrough came from a simple Instagram post about the most common push-up mistakes I saw as a trainer. I demonstrated the wrong way and right way, with text overlay explaining the key differences. It got more engagement than anything I'd posted before. Comments from people sharing their own struggles, questions about form, and requests for more beginner-friendly content. That post taught me something crucial. People didn't want to be sold to. They wanted to be helped. The engagement came from providing value, not from promoting my product. But the tricky part was turning that value into actual sales without seeming pushy or salesy. Pinterest started showing results after 6 weeks of consistent posting. My pins about home workout mistakes and beginner exercise tips began getting saves and click-throughs. More importantly, I could see traffic starting to flow from Pinterest to my Etsy shop. Not huge numbers, but actual human beings finding my product through social media. The content creation became a second job. Planning pins, creating graphics, writing captions, engaging with comments, analyzing which content performed best, it consumed hours I hadn't budgeted for. But I was starting to see how the pieces connected. Valuable content built trust. Trust created followers. Followers became potential customers. I started incorporating my PDF subtly into helpful content. A pin about 15-minute morning routines would link to a blog post that mentioned my workout guide as a resource. An Instagram story about staying consistent with exercise would casually reference the habit-building system I'd included in my PDF. The indirect approach felt more authentic than direct promotion, but it was also slower. I was playing a long game, building an audience that might eventually become customers, rather than trying to make immediate sales to strangers. Email marketing kept appearing in my research as the most effective way to convert social media followers into customers. I needed to create a lead magnet, something free that would entice people to join my email list, where I could nurture relationships and make sales over time. I created a simple one-page 7-day home workout challenge as my lead magnet. Basic exercises, daily progression, simple tracking sheet. Nothing fancy, but valuable enough that people might trade their email address for it. The setup required learning about email marketing platforms, landing pages, and automation sequences. After 2 months of consistent social media effort, I had 150 Pinterest followers, 89 Instagram followers, and 23 people on my email list. Tiny numbers compared to established influencers, but they represented real people who had chosen to follow my content because they found it helpful. More importantly, I was starting to see the connection between content marketing and sales. My Etsy shop views had tripled since I started posting consistently. I still hadn't made a sale, but I was generating real traffic from real people who were genuinely interested in home workout solutions. The learning curve was steep, but I was finally understanding how successful PDF creators built their businesses. It wasn't just about creating good products. It was about building relationships with people who needed those products, providing value consistently, and earning the right to make sales suggestions. My first sale was still eluding me, but I could feel momentum building. The social media machine was starting to work. The notification sound at 11:47 p.m. on a Thursday will forever be etched in my memory. I was brushing my teeth, getting ready for bed after another long day of training clients and creating content, when my phone buzzed with an email from Etsy. "Congratulations! You made a sale." I nearly choked on toothpaste. After 6 weeks of zero sales, someone had actually purchased my workout guide. A real person, somewhere in the world, had found my listing, read the description, and decided my PDF was worth $9.99 of their money. The validation hit me like a wave. I immediately opened my Etsy dashboard to see the details. The buyer was named Jennifer from Ohio. She'd found my listing through Pinterest, One of my pins about quick morning workouts for busy moms had led her to my shop. The traffic tracking showed she'd visited my listing 3 times over the past week before finally purchasing. That night, I couldn't sleep. Not from anxiety, but from excitement. Someone I'd never met had trusted me enough to buy something I'd created. The $9.99 felt like winning the lottery, not because of the money, but because of what it represented. Proof that my idea worked. Validation that people would pay for solutions to problems I understood. Jennifer's purchase broke the psychological barrier I didn't realize I'd built. For weeks, I'd been questioning whether anyone would actually buy my product. Was it good enough? Was it solving a real problem? Was I delusional about having a viable business? Her $9.99 answered all those questions with a resounding yes. The next morning, I sent Jennifer a personal thank you email along with the PDF download. I included a note asking for feedback and mentioning that I was available for questions. She responded within hours, saying she'd already tried the first workout and loved how clearly everything was explained. She appreciated that it was designed for absolute beginners without being condescending. That feedback was gold. Not just because it confirmed I'd created something valuable, but because it gave me language I could use in future marketing. Jennifer's words about clearly explained and perfect for beginners became testimonials I could incorporate into my social media content and product descriptions. More importantly, I asked Jennifer if she'd be willing to leave a review on Etsy. She agreed, and 3 days later, I had my first 5-star review. She wrote about being intimidated by fitness but finding my guide approachable and effective. That review became the foundation for future sales, social proof that my product actually worked for real people. The momentum shifted noticeably after that first sale and review. My listing started appearing higher in Etsy search results. Views increased from 2 to 3 daily to 8 to 10 daily. More people were favoriting my product. The Etsy algorithm seemed to reward listings that had sales history and positive reviews. My second sale came just 5 days later. Then a third sale the following week. The pattern was emerging. Each sale made the next sale more likely. The reviews were accumulating, the search ranking was improving, and buyer confidence was building. By the end of month 2, I'd made 7 sales totaling $69.93. After Etsy fees and taxes, I'd netted about $50. Not life-changing money, but proof of concept. More importantly, I had 7 people using my workout guide, and their feedback was consistently positive. The reviews revealed something interesting about my target market. Most buyers mentioned being intimidated by gym workouts or struggling to stay consistent with exercise. Several noted that they'd tried other fitness programs but found them too advanced or equipment-heavy. I was clearly solving a real problem for a specific group of people. I started reaching out to customers for more detailed feedback, asking what they liked most and what could be improved. Their responses helped me understand my product's strengths and weaknesses from the customer perspective. The habit-building section was particularly popular, with several people saying it was the most helpful part of the entire guide. The customer conversations also revealed opportunities for additional products. Several people asked about nutrition guidance to accompany the workouts. Others wanted more advanced routines for after they completed the 30-day program. I was getting market research directly from paying customers, invaluable insights I couldn't have gained any other way. Jennifer, my first customer, became an unexpected advocate. She shared my workout guide with friends and posted about it on her personal social media. One of her friends purchased the guide and mentioned Jennifer's recommendation in her review. Word-of-mouth marketing was happening organically. The $7 profit from my first sale felt more significant than much larger amounts I'd earned training clients. This money came from something I'd created entirely myself, sold to someone I'd never met, who found value in my knowledge and expertise. It represented scalability in a way that personal training never could. I celebrated by taking my wife out for dinner and telling her about the breakthrough. She'd watched me struggle through the creation process, the design challenges, and the marketing learning curve. That first sale changed everything. Not just my bank account, but my mindset. I was no longer someone trying to sell PDFs. I was someone who successfully sold PDFs. The difference was subtle but profound. I had proof that strangers would pay for my expertise when packaged properly and marketed effectively. The business was finally real. Small but real, and growing. Success breeds ambition, and after proving that people would buy my workout guide, I got greedy. Not for money necessarily, but for efficiency. If one PDF could generate sales, surely multiple PDFs could generate multiple income streams. I started planning my digital product empire before I'd fully optimized my first product. The temptation was overwhelming. Customer feedback had revealed several adjacent problems I could solve: nutrition guidance, advanced workout progressions, equipment-free strength training, flexibility routines for desk workers. Each suggestion felt like a guaranteed bestseller waiting to be created. I decided to create 3 additional PDFs simultaneously: a beginner meal prep guide, a 30-day flexibility challenge, and an intermediate home workout progression. The logic seemed sound. Diversify my offerings, capture more of the fitness market, and give existing customers reasons to make repeat purchases. The workload tripled overnight. Creating one PDF while maintaining my training clients and social media presence had been challenging but manageable. Creating 4 PDFs while trying to market all of them was insanity disguised as ambition. I started waking up at 5 a.m. to write before the kids got up. Lunch breaks became content creation sessions. Evenings after family time turned into design marathons. I was cramming 15 to 20 hours of work into days that only had 24 hours total, sacrificing sleep and sanity for productivity. The meal prep guide came together quickly since I'd helped countless clients with nutrition basics. But translating meal planning into a downloadable PDF required more complexity than I'd anticipated. Shopping lists, portion calculations, prep schedules, recipe modifications. Every helpful addition made the guide longer and more complicated to design. The flexibility guide seemed simpler until I tried to explain stretching routines through text and illustrations. Flexibility requires visual demonstration even more than strength exercises. My stick figure drawings looked ridiculous trying to show proper stretching form. I needed better illustrations, which meant either paying for stock images or learning more advanced design skills. The intermediate workout guide felt redundant halfway through creation. Most of the exercises were variations of movements I'd already covered in my beginner guide. The progression principles were similar. I was essentially creating a longer version of something I'd already made, but charging the same price for more work. Quality suffered as I rushed to complete multiple products simultaneously. My attention was scattered across 4 different projects instead of focused on perfecting one. The writing felt rushed, the designs looked inconsistent, and I was making careless mistakes that required time-consuming corrections. Worse, I was neglecting the social media marketing that had finally started generating sales. My Pinterest posting became sporadic, my Instagram content felt forced, and I stopped engaging meaningfully with my small but growing audience. The momentum I'd built around my original guide started stalling as I focused on creation instead of promotion. After 3 weeks of unsustainable work pace, I had 3 half-finished PDFs and 1 successful product that was losing traction. My Etsy views were declining, my social media engagement was dropping, and I felt burned out despite technically being more productive than ever. The wake-up call came when I realized I hadn't made a sale in 6 days, my longest drought since my initial breakthrough. While I'd been frantically creating new products, I'd stopped doing the marketing activities that actually generated sales. I was optimizing for output instead of outcomes. I made the difficult decision to pause work on the new PDFs and refocus on marketing my successful workout guide. Instead of having 4 mediocre products, I'd perfect the marketing and delivery of 1 great product. Better to excel at one thing than to be mediocre at many things. The refocus paid off immediately. I created a week's worth of Pinterest pins specifically promoting my workout guide, highlighting different benefits for different audiences. Busy moms, fitness beginners, people intimidated by gyms, anyone wanting quick morning routines. Each pin spoke to a specific pain point my guide addressed. I also started experimenting with content formats on Instagram. Quick form check videos, before and after movement demonstrations, client success stories, with permission, and mini workout challenges. Content that provided immediate value while subtly promoting my comprehensive guide for people who wanted more structure. Email marketing became my secret weapon. Instead of just sending my lead magnet and hoping for sales, I created a 5-email sequence that told my story, shared client transformations, addressed common objections, and made a soft pitch for my workout guide. The personal touch made a huge difference in conversion rates. I started tracking metrics more carefully. Which social media posts drove the most traffic? Which Pinterest pins generated the most saves? Which email subject lines had the highest open rates? Data-driven decisions replaced gut feelings about what might work. The results were encouraging. By focusing intensely on marketing one great product instead of creating multiple okay products, my sales picked up again. I was making 2 to 3 sales per week consistently, building a base of satisfied customers who left positive reviews and occasionally referred friends. More importantly, I was learning sustainable business practices. Creating multiple products simultaneously wasn't scalable for a solo entrepreneur with limited time. But creating excellent products and marketing them effectively, that had real potential. I shelved my other PDF projects temporarily, not permanently. Once I had my first guide generating consistent income and had mastered the marketing systems, I could add complementary products strategically. But trying to build everything at once had nearly derailed the progress I'd worked so hard to achieve. Sometimes the best strategy is doing less, but doing it better. My one workout guide was teaching me more about business than 4 half-finished guides ever could. Month 2 brought a sobering reality check that no amount of YouTube tutorials had prepared me for. Having a handful of sales felt like validation, but turning those sporadic victories into consistent income revealed the true challenge of PDF farming. The honeymoon phase was over, and the real work was just beginning. The numbers told a humbling story. After 7 weeks, I'd made 12 sales totaling $119.88. After Etsy fees, payment processing, and setting aside money for taxes, I'd netted about $85. Not exactly the passive income revolution I'd envisioned, but enough to prove the concept worked. The question was whether I could scale it into something meaningful. My biggest realization was that passive income was a misleading term. Yes, once created, my PDF could sell indefinitely without additional production costs. But generating those sales required constant active effort. Social media content creation, Pinterest optimization, email marketing, customer service, product updates, none of it was truly passive. The work had simply shifted from creating the product to marketing it continuously. Instead of writing workout routines, I was writing Instagram captions. Instead of designing PDF layouts, I was designing Pinterest pins. The labor was different, but it was still labor. Customer feedback revealed patterns I hadn't anticipated. Several buyers mentioned they'd been following my content for weeks before purchasing, suggesting a longer sales cycle than I'd expected. People weren't impulse buying fitness PDFs. They were researching, comparing options, and building trust before committing their money. This insight forced me to think differently about content strategy. Instead of trying to make immediate sales, I needed to focus on building relationships with potential customers over time. The Instagram followers who engaged with my posts, the Pinterest users who saved my pins, the email subscribers who opened my newsletters, they were all part of a longer journey toward becoming customers. I started tracking metrics more systematically. Pinterest analytics showed which pins drove the most traffic to my Etsy shop. Instagram Insights revealed which posts generated the most engagement and profile visits. Email marketing data showed which subject lines got opened and which content led to clicks. The data was teaching me what worked and what didn't. The most successful content combined education with subtle promotion. Posts that purely provided value, form tips, workout modifications, motivation quotes, built trust and engagement. Posts that were obviously promotional got ignored. The sweet spot was helpful content that naturally led people to want more comprehensive guidance. I experimented with different content formats to see what resonated. Quick workout videos performed well on Instagram but required significant time to create and edit. Simple infographics with exercise tips were easier to produce and got good engagement on Pinterest. Email newsletters with personal stories and behind-the-scenes content had the highest conversion rates to sales. The seasonal nature of fitness content became apparent. January brought a surge of interest in home workouts as people pursued New Year's resolutions. Summer saw increased engagement with quick morning routines as people prepared for beach season. Understanding these patterns helped me time my content and promotional efforts more effectively. Competition was intensifying. New fitness PDF creators seemed to launch every week, many with better design skills and larger social media followings than mine. Standing out required either superior quality, better marketing, or finding an underserved niche. I couldn't compete on production value with established creators, so I focused on authenticity and specificity. My background as an actual personal trainer became my differentiating factor. While many PDF creators were marketers who'd identified fitness as a profitable niche, I was a trainer who'd learned marketing. That credibility showed in customer reviews and repeat purchases. People trusted advice from someone who actually worked with clients daily. The email list I'd been building started paying dividends. While social media algorithms determined who saw my content, email gave me direct access to interested prospects. A well-crafted newsletter could drive more sales than a week of social media posts. The challenge was growing the list without spending money on advertising. I created additional lead magnets, free mini guides and checklists to attract email subscribers. A 5-minute morning mobility routine PDF generated more signups than my original challenge. People wanted quick, actionable solutions they could implement immediately. The key was making the free content valuable enough to trade an email address for, but incomplete enough to create desire for the paid product. Customer service became unexpectedly important. Digital products seemed like they should be set and forget, but buyers had questions, technical issues, and requests for modifications. Responding quickly and helpfully to customer inquiries led to better reviews and word-of-mouth referrals. Poor customer service could kill a digital product business just as easily as a physical one. I started getting requests for custom workout plans and one-on-one coaching from PDF customers. This revealed an opportunity I hadn't considered, using PDF sales as a funnel for higher-value services. Some customers wanted more personalized guidance than a generic PDF could provide. Offering premium services to existing customers could significantly increase lifetime value. The mental game was harder than expected. Social media metrics fluctuated daily, sales came in unpredictable waves, and algorithm changes could tank traffic overnight. Building a business dependent on external platforms felt precarious. I started planning ways to drive traffic to my own website and email list to reduce platform dependency. The biggest lesson was that PDF farming wasn't really about PDFs. It was about audience building, content marketing, and relationship development. The PDF was just the monetization vehicle. Success depended more on marketing skills than product creation skills, which explained why some mediocre products outsold excellent ones. As I approached the end of my 60-day experiment, I realized I'd barely scratched the surface of what was possible. The foundation was solid, but building a meaningful business would require months or years of consistent effort. PDF farming wasn't a get-rich-quick scheme, but it could be a legitimate path to supplemental income for someone willing to treat it seriously. 60 days. That's all I'd given myself to crack the PDF farming code, and as I sat reviewing my final numbers on a quiet Sunday morning, the results felt both encouraging and sobering. 12 sales, $149.88 in gross revenue, about $115 in profit after fees. Not life-changing money, but proof that strangers would pay for my expertise when packaged properly. The comparison to my dropshipping experiment was inevitable. Dropshipping had taught me about product research, supplier relationships, and paid advertising, but it felt like playing someone else's game with someone else's products. PDF farming felt more authentic. I was selling my own knowledge, solving problems I genuinely understood, building something entirely my own. The financial metrics told only part of the story. More valuable were the systems I'd built and the skills I'd developed. A social media presence with engaged followers, an email list of people interested in fitness solutions, a proven product that customers actually used and recommended. These assets had value beyond immediate revenue. Customer feedback revealed the real impact of my work. Jennifer, my first customer, had completed the program and lost 8 pounds while building a consistent exercise habit. Mark, a busy dad, said my guide was the first workout program he'd actually stuck with for more than 2 weeks. Sarah, a fitness beginner, gained confidence to eventually join a gym after mastering the basics at home. These weren't just sales. They were real people whose lives had improved because of something I'd created. That felt profoundly different from dropshipping, where I'd been a middleman between manufacturers and consumers. Here, I was directly solving problems using my professional expertise. The learning curve had been steep but manageable. Creating the PDF required skills I already possessed: exercise knowledge, program design, and basic writing ability. The design phase challenged me, but was learnable with patience and practice. Marketing demanded the most new skills: social media strategy, content creation, email marketing, and customer psychology. What surprised me most was how much I enjoyed the creative aspects: writing workout explanations, designing helpful graphics, and crafting social media content that genuinely helped people. It felt more fulfilling than I'd expected. The work was challenging, but aligned with my interests and expertise in ways that dropshipping never had. The scalability potential was obvious, but would require a significant time investment. One successful PDF could become a foundation for multiple related products. My workout guide could spawn nutrition guides, advanced programs, and specialized routines for different populations. Each product could cross-sell others, building a comprehensive fitness resource library. But scaling would also mean treating PDF farming as a serious business rather than a side experiment. Consistent content creation, regular product development, systematic marketing, and professional customer service. It would require the same dedication as any other business venture. The passive income promise was partially true but misleading. Yes, my PDF could sell while I slept, but generating those sales required active marketing effort. The income was more accurately described as leveraged. I could sell the same product repeatedly without recreating it, but I couldn't stop promoting it and expect sales to continue. Platform dependency was a concern I hadn't fully appreciated initially. Etsy algorithm changes could tank my visibility overnight. Social media platforms could alter their algorithms or policies, destroying carefully built audiences. Building a business entirely on rented land felt risky long-term. The solution was diversification, multiple sales channels, owned media like email lists and websites, and various traffic sources. But that required more complexity and ongoing management than I'd initially envisioned. Comparing PDF farming to personal training revealed interesting trade-offs. Training provided immediate, predictable income but required my physical presence and had natural scaling limits. PDF farming offered potential scalability and location independence, but with unpredictable income and significant upfront investment in audience building. The ideal scenario might be combining both approaches, using PDF sales to supplement training income while leveraging training credibility to build PDF authority. My existing clients could become my first customers and testimonial sources. My training experience could inform product development. The businesses could reinforce each other. Looking ahead, I saw 3 potential paths. First, I could treat PDF farming as a profitable hobby, maintaining my current products with minimal additional investment while focusing primarily on personal training. Second, I could gradually scale PDF farming while reducing training hours, eventually transitioning to primarily digital products. Third, I could integrate both approaches into a comprehensive fitness business offering both digital and in-person services. The 60-day experiment had answered my primary question. Yes, PDF farming could generate supplemental income for someone willing to learn the necessary skills and invest consistent effort. But it had also revealed that success would require treating it as a real business, not a passive income shortcut. My wife noticed the change in my evening routine. Instead of mindlessly scrolling social media, I was creating content, engaging with followers, and building something meaningful. The time investment was similar, but the purpose was entirely different. I was building assets instead of consuming entertainment. As I closed my laptop on day 60, I felt satisfied with the experiment's results. PDF farming wasn't a magic bullet for financial freedom, but it was a legitimate business model that aligned with my skills and interests. The foundation was solid, the potential was real, and the path forward was clear. The question now wasn't whether PDF farming worked. I'd proven it did. The question was whether I wanted to commit to the long-term effort required to build it into something significant. Unlike dropshipping, which had felt like a temporary experiment, PDF farming felt like something I could genuinely grow into a meaningful part of my business portfolio. 60 days had taught me that the best business opportunities aren't the ones that promise easy money. They're the ones that align your existing skills with market needs while challenging you to grow in meaningful ways. PDF farming had done exactly that, and I was ready to see where it could lead. I'm Jordy, and this was my second 60-day challenge. I'm still just a regular guy, still learning, still hustling for my family. But now I know I can do hard things. And if I can, you can too. And before I go, I want to ask you for a small favor. If you've enjoyed following my journey, please consider subscribing to my channel. Your support means the world to me. It truly motivates me to keep going, and it helps me create more content for you. Thanks for being here. On to the next adventure.